Okay, so for Monday through to Friday of this week, here's a look at our schedule, just to kind of give you an idea. There is no school on Monday, and then it just goes through my prep schedule, etc., for the rest of the week. Okay, so looking more at the mini lessons on Tuesday for language, there's a couple of new provocations out. One is a classroom activity one, and one is a recycling one, and both kind of are linked a little bit to time as well as to the science part. And so we're going to look from there in terms of recording observations and questions, and really with a focus on letter sounds plus using familiar words in their writing. The whole idea with the recycling one is also to look at how to kind of solve a real problem. So hopefully this will help develop that, since the students have kind of shown some interest in that area. On Wednesday, we do have a visitor visiting in morning for the PL board, and we're also looking at creating a media text, hopefully to help with the garbage versus the recycling, so information to include to kind of help the other students in the classroom. And then on Thursday, looking at how we can help others learn what to do. So this is when we're looking at extending it to more of a school environment, so that they can write some announcements together, make some media text, and really focus on writing complete sentences and using resources to help with the spelling. So there'll be a little bit of modeled in there. I'm actually hoping to take the modeled text and even turn it in to a shared one that we can read together too. So it kind of goes together from there. And then on Friday, documenting our day with really a link to what happens in the different times of the day, share what happens and when it happens, to help tell the parents about what we're actually learning in the classroom. So kind of link it back to our classroom learning and focus on how to expand on ideas and maybe even some different formats. Some of the students have really taken an interest in music, so we might want to look at even a musical format to write about what happens during the day, and kind of give students a different voice in terms of sharing what their learning is. Okay. And in terms of math, on Tuesday, we're going to look at some clock art. I have some great examples to look at. So we can do like a Talking Tuesdays and talk a little bit about the math that goes with it, and then connect it with art to create the art using found objects in the classroom. So then they can really start to look at how do we put these clocks together. I think it would create a different option when it comes to the visual, the spatial piece for some of the students, and looking at the components of the clocks too, looking at the numbers and how can we spread them out so we have them in the right spot, and all of those different ideas too, and looking at the different hands. And then Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to be kind of a combined thing, because there's going to be a few different things happening. So I'm picking up the animals. We're going to look at sorting and counting the different stuffed animals and deciding what are we going to do with them, and how can we share the additional ones. We can kind of look at some options together, help develop a plan, and then from there we need to create some structures to hold the different animals using some objects in the classroom. So what are some objects that we can experiment with? How can they help hold the animals? And then it can kind of again link back to the whole idea of sorting, counting them, adding up the different amounts. So we've got all kinds of different options from there. Even subtracting as the numbers go down once we start giving them out, which would be on Friday. So grouping some of those animals for distribution to the other classes and figuring out how many can go to each one. So how are we going to determine that? And students might want to make some different surveys to find out about some interests. So what might be some interest that would help determine the kinds of animals that they might want. So help collect some data that could help with the distribution. And maybe what we could do is even have some students do some surveys within the classroom first to help them feel a little more comfortable with that, and then move on to the bigger area from there too. So to kind of get some more data.